All right, let's do a little reality check on robots. You hear about it all the time, right? This big, robotic future is coming. But what does that actually mean? Is it hype or is it a helping hand? Let's dive in. I mean, these are the two questions that really get to people, aren't they? The ones that might even keep you up at night. Are robots coming for our jobs, and are they coming for our surgeons' jobs? The fear is totally real. This idea of machines taking over everything, from the factory floor to the most delicate, life-saving surgery. But is that what's really going on? Let's take a look at the actual evidence.
So, first things first, this isn't some sci-fi movie stuff we're talking about. The quote-unquote robot revolution, it's already here. It's just a whole lot quieter and way more integrated into our lives than Hollywood would have you believe. I mean, just think about it for a second. We've got AI right in our pockets. You know, Siri, Alexa, all those personal assistants. It's in our cars, it's in our homes. It's even helping fly the planes we travel on. And now that same kind of intelligence is starting to enter the most complex environments imaginable.
So let's start in the operating room. The idea of a robot surgeon, yeah, it's pretty terrifying, right? But the reality is way more nuanced. We're not talking about some fully autonomous machine making life or death calls all by itself. It's really about different levels of assistance.
And this is super important to get. Autonomy in surgery isn't an on or off switch. It's a spectrum. Way down at the bottom, you've got level 1, which is basically just robot assistance. The surgeon is in 100% control. Most of the systems we have today are right there. Or maybe at level 2, where the robot can do a specific pre-programmed task. We're only just starting to see level 3, where a robot can actually adapt a little bit. But that final step, level 4, full autonomy, yeah, that's still just theoretical. The idea of a robot surgeon operating all on its own, it just doesn't exist.
And this progression hasn't been some overnight explosion. I mean, look at this timeline. It really shows you just how slow and steady this has all been. We are talking decades here. The very first robotic-assisted procedure was a brain biopsy way back in 1985, and the famous Da Vinci system, which you've probably heard of from the year 2000, that's still considered level 0 autonomy. It's basically a super advanced tool that is completely controlled by the surgeon. It's really only in the last 10 years or so that we've even started to see level 3 tasks, like a machine that can draw blood on its own.
Okay, so let's look at a few of today's so-called autonomous robots in action. You've got the Star robot, which can sew tissue with incredible precision, sometimes even better than a human. But, and this is a big but, it can't start or change its plan without a surgeon's direct approval. Then there's T-Solution 1, which carves bone for knee replacements, but the surgeon literally has to move soft tissue out of the way for it. And VBot, that blood-drawing robot, its accuracy is about the same as a skilled human technician. You see the pattern here? These are incredibly powerful assistants, not replacements.
And this number, 97.5%, this really drives home where AI's true power is right now. It's all about augmenting human skill, not replacing it. We have an AI algorithm that can spot diabetic retinopathy from images with 97.5% sensitivity. That's more reliable than many human experts. So the goal isn't to get rid of the doctor, right? It's to give that doctor a kind of superpower, a tool that helps them find that tiny needle in a haystack and make a better, more informed decision.
Okay, so let's pivot to that other big fear, our jobs. The story we always hear is super simple, right? Robots come in, human jobs go out. End of story. But just like with robot surgeons, the headlines are missing the much more complex reality. So let's see what the actual data says, based on a huge meta-analysis of economic studies.
Whoa. Okay, take a look at this quote. This is from a brand new 2024 meta-analysis. And just so we're clear, a meta-analysis is a study of studies. It combines the results of, in this case, 33 different papers. And their big conclusion after looking at all that evidence? The concerns about robots causing widespread unemployment might be exaggerated. Yeah, I know, that probably flies in the face of everything you've ever heard. So, how on earth could that be possible?
Well, a big part of the answer has to do with this really interesting concept from the academic world called publication bias. Just think about it from a headline perspective. Which article are you more likely to click on? Study finds robots have no effect on jobs, or robots are coming for your job? It's a no-brainer. Researchers and journals naturally tend to publish the dramatic, significant results over the ones that find, well, nothing much. And over time, that completely skews our perception of what's actually true.
And you can see that effect in action, clear as day, right here. On one side, you've got the story the headlines tell us, the one driven by that publication bias. It looks pretty clear, right? Robots have a negative impact on wages. But then, on the other side, you see what happens when the researchers correct for that bias and look at all the data. The picture changes completely. The real overall effect on wages is actually minimal, negligible, or maybe even a tiny bit positive.
So here's the bottom line. After sifting through 33 different studies and over 600 different estimates, the conclusion is the overall average effect of robots on employment is minimal. It's just not the catastrophic job apocalypse that we've been led to believe.
But, and this is a really, really big but, minimal overall does not mean zero for everyone. The impact isn't spread out evenly like butter on toast. The data is pretty clear that the negative effects, while small on the whole, are really concentrated in specific areas. For example, the US seems to show a more negative impact than other developed countries. No surprise, manufacturing jobs are more affected than service jobs. And it's the medium-skilled workers who are feeling the most wage pressure, which kind of fits that whole narrative about the hollowing out of the middle class.
Okay, so if robots are just assistants and not full-on replacements, then we're all good, right? Problem solved? Well, not so fast, because even this partial automation raises some incredibly thorny new ethical and legal dilemmas. Like, what happens when one of these super advanced tools makes a mistake? This is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? If an autonomous system causes harm, who is to blame? Is it the surgeon who supervised it, the hospital that bought the machine, the company that wrote the code, the engineer who designed the hardware? It gets complicated fast. And our entire legal system, which is built around human intent, really struggles with this. You've got these three key ideas. First, accountability, being able to explain why a decision was made. That gets really hard with a complex black box AI. Then you have liability. That's the legal responsibility to pay for damages. Right now, that pretty much falls on the manufacturer or the operator, the humans. But then there's culpability, the idea of punishment. And you can't punish a robot. It doesn't have a conscience or free will. And all of this leads to this powerful and frankly kind of terrifying concept called the moral crumple zone. You know how the crumple zone in your car is designed to absorb the force of a crash to protect you? Well, in these situations, the human operator, the surgeon, the pilot, whoever, can end up acting as a moral crumple zone, bearing the full brunt of the legal and moral responsibility when a complex system fails, even if they weren't fully in control. So, where does all of this leave us? It's pretty interesting, because whether you're looking at a surgeon in the operating room or a worker on a factory floor, all the data and all the expert opinions seem to be pointing in the exact same direction. The future isn't about some big battle.
I mean, listen to the American College of Surgeons. They put it perfectly. Robots are meant to support a surgeon's ability, not replace it. They're there to help them carry out their decisions, not to make the decisions for them.
And it's not just the doctor saying this. Even the guy who created one of the most advanced surgical robots out there, the STAR system, says the exact same thing. He says these robots are meant to work side by side with surgeons, helping them with the super accurate, super repetitive stuff.
And that, right there, is the real takeaway. We need to completely reframe this whole conversation. It was never going to be humans versus robots. It's humans plus robots. It's about building a new kind of partnership, one where machines do what they do best, all that precision, repetition, and crunching massive amounts of data. And that frees up us humans to do what we do best. The creativity, the critical thinking, the empathy.
So the question we should be asking ourselves isn't if we're going to partner with these intelligent machines. That ship is pretty much already sailed. The partnership is already happening. The much bigger, much more important question is how. How do we build this future together, thoughtfully and ethically, to make sure this new partnership actually works for everyone? That's the real challenge, and that's the conversation we need to be having.